just wanted to say happy birthday to Mom and say this song for her. Happy birthday to you.
6-year-old Abigail Taylor singing happy birthday to her mom.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
It's one of the final phone calls Abby ever made. She died March 20th, 2008, 9 months after being disemboweled by the drain in the kiddie pool at the Minneapolis Golf Club. 1 minute, Abby splished and splashed in 18 inches of water, trusting, just like her parents, Scott and Katie, that the club's private pool was safe. But as that hot summer day ended, Abby, a strong swimmer and member of the Minneapolis Golf Club swim team, fell on the pool's uncovered drain. The suction pulled her intestines into the drain system, something the Minneapolis Golf Club knew could lead to death.
Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a very sad story. When I read about this little girl, I thought about my own daughter, who was about the same age, and I can't imagine what the parents went through. As a parent, all you want for your kid is happiness and to be healthy, right? Everything else is material. You can stop bad things happening to your kids at home and while at school. But imagine the horror as a parent when your little bundle of joy gets hurt in a public place. A place that's meant to be safe. A place surrounded by other parents and staff. Furthermore, imagine not knowing what happened to them because there wasn't any sign of trauma or injury. Well, you've read the title, so you know what this video is about. Abigail went swimming and sat on a suction drain. This drain was so powerful, it physically sucked Abigail's intestines out of her body. Feeling weird, she went to her parents where she collapsed. But what some of you don't know is that this poor little girl suffered far more than you can ever imagine after the incident, as a result of what happened. This video is in memory of Abigail. You're watching Project Dark Knight Horror, and I am the Dark Knight. Firstly, I just want to say, this video I made is in memory of Abigail Rose Taylor, and from one parent to another, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I know you've been fundraising and doing charities to raise awareness for pool safety. And I just want to say that I made the video for the same reasons, to raise awareness and to stop bad things from happening. Back in June 2007, it was a hot summer's day. Parents and children were relaxing and playing at a swimming pool when the unthinkable happened. 6-year-old Abigail stepped out of the pool towards her parents, who were at the poolside. They knew straight away something was wrong, but never in a million years would they have guessed what. Abigail was very dizzy. She took a couple of side steps and then fell onto the ground, knocking out a tooth. Why this happened will anger you. On a hot summer's evening in June 2007, Abigail and her family met a couple of other families at the pool for a dinner. After the meal, the kids went for a last-minute quick dip in the pool. When it was time to leave, all the kids got out and took a shower. All except Abigail, who was still in the kiddie pool. The parents saw her just sitting there and called for her to get out. When she got out, it was clear that something was very wrong. She looked dizzy and very pale. She took a couple of sideways steps and then suddenly fell onto the pool deck, knocking out her front tooth and falling into the adults' pool. At the time of the incident, Abby's parents had no way of knowing how serious their little girl's injury was. At first, they thought it was heat stroke or being tired from all the fun, because there was no blood showing or any signs of injury. But Abby kept floating in and out of consciousness, saying her stomach hurt. So they took Abby to the hospital, where on examination the doctors found that Abby had a rectal tear. Only a small incision, but it was enough for the medical staff at the hospital to examine her further. It wasn't until several hours later, after the doctors found out what had happened, that the parents learned the awful, horrifying truth. Abby had been disemboweled by the suction from the uncovered pool drain. Unbelievably, her intestines had been ripped out of her body. The doctors were amazed that she was still alive. According to the doctors, there was no medical reason why she had even survived that night. But Abby was alive and the parents had hope. For a while at least. As Abby slowly recovered, doctors, staff and the parents were amazed. It looked as though their little angel would be okay. But as time passed, it became apparent that Abby would need a transplant. But in the meantime, Abby was allowed to go home, and with cleverly disguised nutritional solutions in a backpack and a drainage tube that came out of her side into her favorite Hannah Montana purse, she even made it back for the first day of school. In fact, despite what had happened, this little soldier kept on fighting, and she gave her parents the strength that they needed to carry on as normal. They were managing as close to a normal life as they could get. The parents knew, and so did Abby, that they would still need to be many hospital appointments and operations on the horizon. So, the family lived every day to the fullest, making Abby as happy as they could be, and she deserved it. Abby even went to camp with the help of a parent and some arrangements made by the camp staff. And with those precautions in place, she had the best time. And as Abby was a drama queen, this camp was for acting lessons, so it was something that she definitely wanted to do. A few weeks later, Abby went to a concert to see her favorite singer and actress, Hannah Montana. She even had a meet and greet before the show, and signed pictures from Miley Cyrus herself, no doubt, which made Abby smile for days. Smiles that her parents now wish that they could see again. Being back at school and in the public was very hard for Abby at first, as she felt tired all the time, and her skin was yellowish because of jaundice. No matter how hard you try to protect your kids, still, people point and stare and call her names. Most of the kids at school were good and understood, but you always get a few bad apples, don't you? But they can't be blamed since they were kids themselves. Kids at school would ask Abby lots of questions, and she was always very quick to tell them, but eventually she got tired of explaining. Abby was suffering a lot mentally, but mostly physically. Then, on December the 16th, almost 6 months later, the family got a phone call from the hospital. There was a transplant available for Abby.
A 6-year-old Minnesota girl is recovering tonight at UNMC after undergoing a rare triple organ transplant. On the Health Watch, a closer look at the procedure. Abigail Taylor had part of her intestinal tract torn out last summer by a powerful wading pool drain. But on Monday, she received a new small bowel, liver, and pancreas. And that of the transplant team says Abigail is one of the oldest patients he's seen.
Are certainly less than 2 years of age and often less than 1 year of age.
Abigail is in serious but stable.
All their Christmas wishes came true, and for a couple of months, Abby looked like she was on the road to recovery. This strong, amazing little girl had been through so much in a short little lifespan, and so much pain. And it looked like things were going to get better. She had the transplant, and every few days or weeks, they'd have to do tests and wait for the lab results. It was a hard way to live, but it was a new way of life, which the family expected, and they accepted it. Of course, they had the best doctors and medicines, and lots of visits from family and friends. Abby's favorite visitor was from her sisters, especially Grace. One night, the sisters were talking about that night at the pool, and Grace, her sister, told Abby that God had come down and held one hand, and her uncle David, who had died 2 years prior, had the other hand. And that night, together at the pool, they pulled Abby out of the drain. A few months after the transplant, things were not getting any better. The good days came fewer and farther between. This poor, sweet little angel, who suffered a horrible thing, then developed a cancerous condition that is triggered very rarely by organ transplants. The condition is known as PTLD, or post-transplant lymphoproliferative disease, which affect blood cells. So, in addition to all the other complications the family were facing, the doctors had to start Abby on chemotherapy. Then, sadly, things went from bad to worse. Abby also started having problems with infections too. In early March 2008, her new organs began to fail her. Her body was rejecting the organs that were transplanted, and her kidneys flooded with fluids, so she needed dialysis to remove the excess fluids from her body. Devastated by the news of this and yet another procedure that Abby had to go through, the family was heartbroken. But yet, Abby smiled. She smiled. This poor little defenseless girl still smiled, even though by the time Abby had had countless infections and 16 surgeries to drain fluid, surgeries to mend tissue tears, surgeries to clean her abdomen, and the chemotherapy. But yet, she still smiled. She had been fighting for so long, and you hear people complaining about headaches and minor little issues, but this amazing little girl never complained. It's so unfair. Bad things happen to good people, and there's just no way of explaining it. Very selfishly, Mummy and Daddy wanted Abby to keep fighting for them. Day by day, they made her keep going, but I understand why. And you should never feel bad about that. You wanted to spend more time with her, and I'm sure Abby knew that. You guys are great parents. You did all you could do and more, and you're still fighting to avoid this from happening again to another family. You did your part, so be proud of that. Finally, on the 20th of March 2008, at 10 minutes past 6 p.m., Abigail Rose Taylor went quietly into the night, with Mum and Dad by her side. I guess there was a spot in heaven that needed filling. So, why did this happen to Abigail? Let's take a look.
just wanted to say happy birthday to Mom and say this song for her. Happy birthday to you.
6-year-old Abigail Taylor singing happy birthday to her mom.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
It's one of the final phone calls Abby ever made. She died March 20th, 2008, 9 months after being disemboweled by the drain in the kiddie pool at the Minneapolis Golf Club. 1 minute, Abby splished and splashed in 18 inches of water, trusting, just like her parents, Scott and Katie, that the club's private pool was safe. But as that hot summer day ended, Abby, a strong swimmer and member of the Minneapolis Golf Club swim team, fell on the pool's uncovered drain. The suction pulled her intestines into the drain system, something the Minneapolis Golf Club knew could lead to death. Educated, certified pool professionals and club management at MGC knew that the uncovered drain cover in the shallow kiddie pool was the most dangerous possible condition in the entire complex. But amazingly, lifeguards were never told of the danger. Neither were any of the club members. And what none of them knew, especially Scott and Katie, is that their daughter Abigail's death sentence was signed before she was even born. It was back in 1999 when Minneapolis Golf Club's certified pool operator first cut corners by jerry-rigging a new drain cover on a worn-out frame. And over the years that followed, instead of fixing the drain cover assembly, the club ensured Abby's death by cutting corners again to save a little money. The cost, Abigail Taylor's life. Documents and testimony reveal that from 1999 to the time of Abby's evisceration, the so-called pool professionals at the Minneapolis Golf Club, year after year, had chance after chance to make the right choice when it came to pool safety. But time after time, management made the wrong choice. Now, Abigail Taylor is dead. As far back as 1999, before Abby Taylor was born, when rushing to prepare the club for pool inspection and opening, the certified pool operator at the time, Joe Strum, noticed damage to the drain. He purchased a new drain cover and frame, but decided only to affix the new cover to the old frame by drilling new holes through the side of the old frame, actually through the manufacturer's warning that he knew should not have been drilled. All because he was pressured by club management to have the pool open for Memorial Day 1999. Expediency was the club's excuse in 1999, but Strom used the same worn-out frame in 2000 and 2001, without that lame excuse. In 2002, the club's new certified pool operator once again bought drain cover assembly, frame, cover, and screws, and once again failed to use or install the new frame, again affixing the new cover to Strom's worn-out and now adulterated frame. In 2003, the club hired Alan Clemish as its certified pool operator. Clemish admits that over the years, he repeatedly secured the 2002 drain cover by using the holes Strom had drilled into the adulterated frame in 1999, even though the drain cover's maker's instructions specifically said not to do that. By 2005, the screw holes in the frame were so misshapen that the screws could no longer keep the drain cover in place. In late May of 2007, Clemish pushed the plastic anchors in the misshapen holes with his thumb and tried to secure the drain cover with non-stainless steel sheetrock screws. Again, instead of replacing the drain frame, which needed replacing almost a decade earlier for just a couple $100, Clemish opted for a 50-cent fix.
Like I said before, this video is in memory of Abigail, and if this video makes even one parent aware of the dangers, then that's one more life saved. After you watch this video, please check out Abby's Hope. It's a YouTube channel which is in the name of Abby. I'll put the link in the description, but you can just type in Abby's Hope. It's a small channel, and I think they've got about 400 subscribers, so they really need support. The parents and family run charities and swimming races to promote pool safety, so please subscribe, like and share. And let's get this message out there. Nobody meant to hurt Abby, and I know the people behind it are responsible for it, and I know they regret it, but this can never be allowed to happen again. Thank you for watching. You've been watching Project Dark Knight Horror, and I am the Dark Knight. Signing off. Peace.